we are diving straight into the hot topic of data centers. Susan Bourgeois just got her first major pitch from Meta to build one of the largest AI data centers in the world in Louisiana, and the implications for the community are massive. We look at how this massive investment is reshaping local economies and sparking intense community debate.
Stop using your finger for notes, sketches, and edits. This Jam Jake stylus pen gives your iPad a smoother, more precise writing feel with palm rejection so your hand can rest naturally on the screen. It charges fast, works for hours, and comes with replacement tips. Perfect for school, work, or creative projects. Check the link in the comments to grab it on Amazon.
Next up, we're tracking the legislative fight happening in Oklahoma as lawmakers advance a bill to protect regular customers from skyrocketing electricity rates caused by large load users like data centers and cryptomining operations. Find out what this new legislation means for ratepayers across the state. Now we turn to Ohio, where the push to stop power and water-guzzling data centers is gaining momentum. We examine the environmental impact and the political hurdles facing efforts to ban these facilities, and who stands to gain or lose in this battle. Finally, we look at the massive subsidies driving this industry. We explore the $77 million tax break given to J.P. Morgan Chase for a single job in New York, and the growing concern among watchdogs about whether these deals are actually creating the jobs they promise. Stay with us for the full story. Data center disputes are rapidly escalating from local concerns to a significant national political issue, poised to heavily influence upcoming midterm elections. The explosive growth in demand for artificial intelligence has fueled a massive build-out of data centers across the United States, driven by technology companies, business demands, and government investment. However, this infrastructure boom is creating intense friction regarding environmental impact, energy consumption, and local affordability. Local communities are grappling with the consequences. Residents are voicing fierce opposition to proposed sites, citing concerns over noise, pollution, unsustainable water usage, with some communities reporting issues like discolored or odorous water near operational facilities. This opposition has translated into tangible political action, including successful challenges to large projects. In small towns, city council members have lost seats over supporting multi-billion-dollar data center developments, and residents are organizing at town halls to challenge proposals. This local resistance is gaining national traction. Policy analysts describe the situation as a Wild West, where local governments are the primary gatekeepers, evaluating data center projects with the same scrutiny they apply to residential or commercial developments. State legislatures are responding with varied measures, ranging from eliminating lucrative tax incentives to enacting outright moratoriums. Maine has taken the strongest state-level action by pausing most construction. Florida has moved to establish guardrails for water and energy usage, while Virginia is considering eliminating a significant sales tax exemption for data centers, citing concerns over state competitiveness. Proponents of data centers highlight their economic benefits, pointing to massive investment in construction wages and property taxes for local communities, particularly in rural areas struggling with declining populations. Some argue these facilities are essential lifelines, potentially boosting local school systems and creating sustainable employment in areas that have lost major industries. At the federal level, the debate is intensifying. While President Trump has supported infrastructure development, he has also introduced measures like the Ratepayer Protection Pledge, calling on AI companies to cover their own energy costs. However, policy experts note that current federal actions lack enforcement teeth, suggesting that the issue is shifting from a purely economic consideration to a critical affordability and environmental concern for constituents. As local opposition solidifies and state-level policies diverge, the debate over data centers is firmly established as a key voting issue. Elected officials are increasingly recognizing that ignoring these developments is politically untenable, signaling a major shift in how infrastructure development is balanced against community well-being ahead of the midterms. Oklahoma lawmakers have advanced a significant bill aimed at protecting residential and business electricity rates from potential spikes caused by large data centers and cryptomining operations. The legislation, House Bill 2992, was advanced by the Senate Energy Committee on Thursday, co-sponsored by Representatives Brad Bowles and Grant Green and Senator Wellston. The core of the bill mandates that the Oklahoma Corporation Commission, the state body responsible for regulating utilities, must establish specific terms, conditions, and tariffs to safeguard rates for regular customers when large load entities like data centers connect to the electricity grid. Senator Grant Green emphasized the necessity of cost recovery, stating, "If you're going to put strain on the grid and have to have new infrastructure, you're going to have to pay for it. It won't fall back on the ratepayers." This measure is designed to create consumer protection guardrails for the state. It applies to all electricity providers, including cooperatives and municipal utilities. While the bill addresses grid strain, it acknowledges that data centers can still utilize behind-the-meter power generation, which would necessitate on-site generation by the companies. Utilities such as the Public Service Company of Oklahoma and Oklahoma Gas and Electric Company are reportedly already developing tariffs specifically for data center operations. The measure passed the committee unanimously and is now moving forward for consideration on the Senate floor. Noi Dung Kai Tight. An opinion piece published in the Dayton Daily News argues that Ohio is becoming a dumping ground for energy-intensive data centers, likening the situation to Silicon Valley. The author calls for action to halt the construction of these power and water-guzzling facilities, though acknowledges the challenge of achieving this goal before the November 3rd statewide ballot. /N, the piece highlights that major technology companies, including Amazon, Facebook, Google, and Microsoft, have numerous data center sites, warehouses, and distribution centers located in the booming Columbus metro region. Ohio State University data indicates that the state ranks among the top 5 states for the number of data centers, currently numbering around 200. /N, according to the Ohio Environmental Council, state and local governments have provided approximately $2.5 billion in tax incentives between 2017 and 2024 to attract these centers. The council contends that proponents often downplay environmental concerns and the relatively small workforce required to operate these facilities. /N data presented by the council reveals the significant environmental footprint of data centers. In 2023, U.S. data centers consumed an estimated 176 terawatt-hours of electricity, accounting for about 4% of national demand, a figure projected to rise to 6% to 12% by 2028. Furthermore, hyperscale data centers can consume between 1 to 5 million gallons of water daily. /N, the author assesses the odds of a data center ban reaching the ballot and gaining approval as dicey, citing hurdles such as Ohio's constitutional limitations on amendments, the immense influence of big data, and strict petition signature deadlines. /N, however. The opinion piece urges Ohioans to form strong voter coalitions to protect rural areas from what the author characterizes as an asset-stripping pattern, where out-of-state entities profit while Ohio bears the cleanup costs. /N, another key concern raised is the impact on electricity rates. The author stresses the importance of ensuring that the substantial costs of power plants supplying data centers are not unfairly shifted onto residential electricity customers through the Public Utilities Commission of Ohio. /N, finally, the commentary points to the bipartisan nature of utility decisions, citing House Bill 6 as an example where legislation passed due to support from some Democrats. The author concludes that even if measures fail to reach the ballot, the financial impact of current utility legislation is likely insignificant compared to the potential economic boom promised by a data center expansion for out-of-state owners. A controversial $77 million tax break offered by Rockland County to J.P. Morgan Chase for expanding its data center in Orangeburg, New York, has drawn significant scrutiny from watchdog groups over the project's minimal job creation. According to watchdogs, this deal represents the largest subsidy of its kind per job in the country. The subsidy, which involves sales tax exemptions amounting to approximately $40 million withheld from state coffers, was approved following a public hearing where attendance was reportedly minimal. Critics argue that the deal provides substantial public money for very few local benefits. Kasia Tarksinska, a senior research analyst at the national subsidy watchdog group Good Jobs First, stated that the county is giving away quite a lot of public money in exchange basically for nothing. This contrasts sharply with previous large-scale data center proposals, such as one in Genesee County, which proposed subsidies exceeding $11 million per job. However, the Rockland County Industrial Development Agency, IDA, defends the deal, asserting that the project will yield over $100 million in local economic benefits, including more than 1,400 temporary construction jobs and ongoing skilled trade work. Executive Director Stephen Porath countered the criticism of the low job count, suggesting that assessing subsidies strictly by cost per job is an outdated metric for the high-tech age, emphasizing the broader economic factors. The data center, which is not a traditional manufacturing plant, is valued for the sales tax breaks that offset the high cost of equipment. The Orangeburg area has become a data center hub, attracting major players like J.P. Morgan Chase, Morgan Stanley, and CoreWeave. Activists, including Food and Water Watch, have raised environmental concerns regarding data centers, specifically worrying about increased utility costs and potential water contamination, citing concerns over facilities near water reservoirs. They are advocating for a halt to data center projects until environmental impacts are fully assessed. In response to these concerns, a bill introduced by state legislators aims to cap IDA subsidies at $500,000 per job and impose stricter environmental oversight, including barring subsidies for facilities consuming over 100 megawatts of power. While some analysts suggest banning sales, tax abatements might be simpler, county officials maintain that deals like the one with J.P. Morgan Chase are beneficial, transforming underutilized property into a source of local revenue.